The next method is called as simmering. Simmering also is a moist heat method. And when the food are cooked in a pan with a well-fitting lid at a temperature just below boiling point, which is 82 to 99 degrees centigrade, or in the liquid in which they are immersed, the method is called as simmering. In boiling, the temperature of the liquid we used was 100 degrees centigrade. But here we are using a temperature that is below boiling point, 82 to 99 degrees centigrade. Therefore, here the temperature used is lesser than the temperature that was used for the boiling method. This process where the food is cooked at a lesser temperature is called as simmering. But here we require a pan and we require a lid which is tight fitting. Boiling can be done in any kind of utensil, but here we need a pan and we need a lid for the pan. It is a useful method when foods have to be cooked for a long time. For example, in the preparation of carrot halwa or in the preparation of meat or sometimes in the cooking of root vegetables, the method of simmering will be useful. They have to be cooked at low temperature for a long time. In that case, we use a method of cooking called as simmering. Here in this image, we can find there are two sections. In one section, we can find that the water is boiling vigorously. So that at 100 degrees centigrade, and that is the boiling temperature. And on the right side, we find that the water is boiling, but not very vigorously. So that is the simmering temperature. So this is the difference between simmering and boiling. And we require a pan and also a tight fitting lid for this method of cooking. Advantages of simmering. Foods get cooked thoroughly because we are cooking the food at a low temperature for a long time. The food gets cooked thoroughly. Scorching or burning is prevented. Scorching is where the food sticks to the vessel, it becomes dry. அடிப்பிடிச்சிருக்கு அப்படின்னு சொல்றது தான் scorching. So that is prevented in the simmering process because we are cooking the food not at a very high temperature. And the losses due to leaching are minimum. So using excess water, discarding the excess water, or evaporation of water due to excessive heat are not present in this method, and therefore losses due to leaching is very minimum. Leaching is the removal of the nutrient from the food during the cooking process. The disadvantages are also there. There is loss of heat sensitive nutrients because the food is being cooked for a long period of time. I told you low temperature, long time. So since the food is being cooked for a very long time, those nutrients that are destroyed by heat are lost. For particularly vitamin C is lost when the food is cooked by the simmering method. And it takes more time and more fuel is also required. So as the time increases, we use more fuel. What is fuel? The electricity or the LPG gas that we use for the cooking process. So that is also lost because we are cooking for a long period of time. The next method in the moist heat is called as poaching. This method involves cooking the food in minimum amount of liquid at a temperature between 80 to 85 degrees centigrade. That is below the boiling point, and this temperature is much lesser than the temperature that we are using for simmering. Foods generally cooked by poaching are egg, fish and fruits. We cannot make plenty of preparation using the poaching method. Very few foods are cooked by poaching. For poaching egg, you have to add a little bit of salt or vinegar to the cooking liquid so that it lowers the temperature of coagulation. So when salt or vinegar is added to the boiling water, it will lower the temperature and the eggs can be poached easily. Eggs are cooked quickly by the poaching method. So generally, poaching means it is cooking the egg, and we will see how it is being poached now. So these are the plates that are used for poaching. Egg can be broken and it can be kept in these plates. At the bottom of these plates, we have a pan in which water can be kept. And now we put the pan in a stove and there is a lid that covers it. After a few minutes, if you take out, you can find in the fourth image, you can find that the egg has been cooked. So this is called as poaching. The like we steam the idli, the same method that we use in the steaming idli. Here the eggs, they don't come into contact with water. There are small holes that are present in the plate. So those holes, they will produce the steam in which the egg can be cooked. So these plates are available, and this is called as a poacher. It is called as a poacher. Here there is no loss of nutrient at all because egg does not come in contact with water, and therefore there is no loss of nutrient, and the egg that is cooked by this method will be soft. And this is also another poacher. Here the plates are of a different type, you can see, and we have a pan over which you can fix the plates like we fix the idli plates, and they can be steamed, right? This is called as a poacher. If that is not available, you can also use this method. Into containers, you can add the egg. You can break the egg and add it to the containers. You can take any pan for this purpose, and you can close it using a lid. And after some time, if you take, you can see that the egg has been cooked. So the egg is not directly added to the water, but here we take them in the containers, and when you keep the vessel covered and cook for a few minutes, you can get the poached eggs. So this is an alternate method that can be used for poaching the eggs. The advantages of poaching are, it is a very quick method of cooking. In a few minutes, you can get the poached egg, and it is easily digestible since there is no fat used. It can be even given for small children. Infants can be given the poached egg because it is very soft in nature and it is not hard and it is easily digestible. Advantages, it is very bland in taste, and sometimes water soluble nutrients may be leached in the water. Next method of the moist heat cooking is the stewing process. This is a method of cooking in a pan with a tight fitting lid using small quantity of liquid to cover only half of the food. Here we also require a pan and a lid like we used for simmering, but the amount of liquid used will be very less, right? Only half the amount of liquid. When we compare the amount of the food and the liquid, the amount of liquid used will be only half that of the food, right? If we take 1 kg of food, we are going to take only half liter of water. So that will be the ratio in which the water will be used for stewing. The food above the liquid is usually cooked by the steam generated within the pan. So we are taking the food in a pan and we are adding half the quantity of water and we are going to cover the food. And therefore, whatever water is there, when it is heated, it will evaporate, it will convert into steam. And this steam is sufficient to cook the food above the liquid level. The liquid is brought to boiling point and then the heat applied is reduced to maintain the cooking at simmering temperature of 98 degrees centigrade. Here also, like in the boiling method, first we will bring the liquid to vigorous boil and then you will reduce it to a temperature of 98 degrees centigrade. Stewing is a slow method of cooking and it may take a very long time. It can even take 2 to 4 hours depending upon the nature and also the volume of food that are being stewed. For example, while stewing meat, it may take a very long time, and the meat that is obtained after stewing will be really very soft. This method is generally used for cooking root vegetables and legumes, and apples can also be cooked by stewing. You can see here the amount of liquid and the amount of the food that is used in the stewing method of cooking. Stewing advantages. Loss of nutrients by leaching does not take place because we are not taking excess water. We are taking only minimum amount of water. Therefore, nutrient loss by leaching does not occur and flavor is retained. We are using a lid to cover the pan and therefore there is no loss of flavor. The disadvantage is it takes a lot of time and therefore it is time consuming. Because it is time consuming, so much of fuel also will be wasted. Therefore, we will be wasting fuel energy also. The next method is called as the steaming. Steaming is the cooking of food in steam. Here water is not used, but it is the steam that is the medium for cooking. There are different types of steaming. The first method is called as the wet steaming. Here, the steam is in direct contact with the food. நீராவியில் வேக வைப்பதுதான் steaming. Here, wet steaming means the steam is in direct contact with the food. The food is cooked by the steam. The food is surrounded by the steam and therefore cooking takes place. Example, cooking of idli, idiyappam, puttu, etc. or some that employs the wet steaming method. Here for steaming of the idlis, we require special equipments. We require a idli cooker or we need a idli pane or a idli that vessel that can hold the idli batter for cooking. And steaming can also be done in several ways. We make sometimes kolkattai, which are covered in leaves. And they can also be employed for cooking idli as well. You can pour the batter into the leaves that are made in the shape of the cups and it can be steamed. Or you can employ the same method of steaming in the preparation of puttu. So in the bottom vessel, you have the water and in the upper portion of the tube-like portion, the flour is taken. The flour, coconut, jaggery is taken in the upper portion. When the vessel is heated, steam is liberated and the steam, it goes up in the tube-like portion and the flour that is present in that portion gets cooked because of the steam. And here we can find the preparation of idiyappam, which is a speciality, particularly in the southern part of India. And in Tamil Nadu also it is popularly used. So we have plates for idiyappam itself, or you can also use the idli plates for preparing idiyappam. So after using the string hoppers, we make the noodles like preparation and then this is taken in a pan and we have a cover over the pan and while it is heated, the water evaporates, it is converted into a steam and therefore the idiyappam is cooked by steam. This also is an example of moist steaming or wet steaming. The next method of steaming is called as the dry steaming. Here double boiler is used for cooking the food. Double boiling is cooking in a container over hot or boiling water. We do not here directly cook the food, but we use a pan in which water is taken and in the pan we have another utensil, a cup or a katori in which the food is taken and the food will be directly heated. The commonly this is used while we reheat the coffee. So if the coffee becomes cold and if you want to heat it, you do not directly go and heat the coffee, but instead you take water in a pan and you bring it to boil and then you keep the cup of coffee inside the pan so that it is indirectly heated. So this is done in order to retain the flavor of the coffee. Otherwise, the flavor of the coffee may change when it is directly heated. So the same method is employed for cooking certain food. This process is used for the preparation of sauces particularly and custards where the temperature below boiling point is desired. So sauces in the preparation of ketchups, in the preparation of sauces, this can be used. And also it can be used in the preparation of custard. Custard is prepared using milk, egg and sugar. A very soft preparation very nutritious, can be given even for infants. The next method is called as the dry steaming. Here, the food is placed in a utensil which is kept in another vessel containing water. When the water is heated or boiled, food gets cooked. So this here you can see the double boiler. Double boiler is available at the bottom pan. In the bottom pan, we take the water, and in the upper portion is where you can take various food, including vegetables. Vegetables can be cooked by using double boiling. They will retain the color, flavor, and also the nutrients. And in the next image, you can see the preparation of custard. So there is an outer utensil where water is taken, and in the inner utensil, in the inner cup, the mixture of the milk, egg, and sugar is taken. And the most popular melting of chocolate, we never do melting of chocolate in direct heat because there is change in the taste and flavor when the chocolates are melted. Chocolates are usually melted for the preparation for in the preparation of cake, for decorating the cake, and uh, uh, for icing purpose over the cake, we melt the chocolate. So chocolate is melted in this way, in the double boiling method. Chocolate is melted and used for icing purpose. Waterless cooking. In this method, the steam originates from the food itself. Cooking food wrapped in an aluminum foil is a form of waterless cooking. Here, the water content that is required for steaming, it originates from the food. It is taken from the food. The moisture that is present in the food while heating is converted into steam, and this steam is used for cooking the food. In this case, there is an advantage of preventing transmission of flavor from one food to the other food because we are wrapping the food in aluminum foil. There is no possibility of the transfer of flavor from one food to another food, right? So because we are covering it in an aluminum foil, the moisture of the food is converted to steam, and the steam, it helps in the cooking of the food. We can find here how the potatoes are wrapped in the aluminum foil, and you can also see how the potatoes have been cooked in the last image. Let us now look into the advantages of steaming. Steaming does not require constant attention because while we cook the idlis, say for example, after the batter is added to the idli plates and we close the idli cooker, there is certain time period for which during which the cooking takes place, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, you can come and put off the stove. So you don't have to need to remain near the stove all the time during the cooking process. And the nutritive value is maintained because there is no leaching and the cooking time also is less. In the steaming process, the food does not come into contact directly. The water is converted into steam and the steam cooks the food. Therefore, because of lack of contact with the food, there is no loss of nutrients from the food, or the leaching loss does not take place. And also the steamed foods, they get cooked very quickly. They are easily digestible. Steamed foods are easily digestible because fat is not used in the cooking of the food by the steaming process. And also, when a person is having any kind of illness, such as a fever or diarrhea, and when that person goes to the doctor says that they have to consume foods that are easily digestible, like idli or idiyappam. So these steamed foods are easy to digest and they can be given even during illness. It is good for children and also for the patients. Children's digestive system, particularly the infant's digestive system, is not completely mature, and therefore they cannot digest the food that are very hard. So the infants, starting from 6 months, they can be given small portions of idli, which is a steamed food, and it can be digested easily even by the infants. And there is less chance for burning or scorching. Since the food does not come into contact with direct heat, and there is a very less chance of the food getting burnt when it is cooked by the steaming process. In double boilers, the sudden increase in temperature in making the custard and overflow of milk can be avoided. When we generally pasteurize the milk or boil the milk in the boiling method, we know that there will be overflowing of the milk or boiling over of the milk when we are not remaining near the milk at a particular stage of temperature. So this does not happen in the preparation of custard, because in the preparation of custard also we are making use of milk, egg and sugar. So the boiling over does not take place because it is being steamed using a double steamer. The texture of the food that is cooked by the steaming process is always very light and it is fluffy. For example, the idli and the idiyappam, they are very soft in texture. And the steamed foods also have a very good flavor or aroma. Disadvantages of steaming. Special equipment is required for the steaming process. While we steam the idlis, we require the idli cookers or the idli vessel that is traditionally used for the cooking process. And for making puttu, of course, it can be done using the idli plates, but we also have a steamer for making the puttu. And therefore, special equipment is required for this process. Many food cannot be prepared by this method. Like you cannot cook dal or rice by the steaming process.